The courtroom in Charleston, South Carolina, was a crucible of tension, its high ceilings and mahogany benches amplifying the hush that fell over the crowd. Sunlight filtered through stained glass windows, casting fractured colors across the floor, where every creak of a shoe felt like a thunderclap. On this sweltering June morning, every eye was fixed on the defendant's table, where Amara Ellis, a 22-year-old black woman, sat with her hands clasped, her face a mask of quiet resolve. Amara's deep brown eyes held a story of loss and defiance, her braided hair pulled into a neat bun, her navy dress simple but dignified. She was on trial for arson, accused of burning down the historic Vance textile mill, a fire that had cost millions and left a community divided. Her public defender, a weary man named Daniel Holt, sat beside her, his files a chaotic pile of desperation. Amara's gaze flickered to the gallery, where her younger brother, Khalil, a lanky 16-year-old, watched with a mix of fear and hope. At the judge's bench, Judge Evelyn Marshall, a formidable woman in her 60s with silver hair and piercing blue eyes, prepared to deliver the sentence. The evidence was damning. Security footage placing Amara near the mill, a gasoline canister with her fingerprints, and her own refusal to speak in her defense. But as the clock ticked toward the verdict, a storm was brewing outside the courtroom, one that would rewrite Amara's fate and spark a debate for the ages. The trial had gripped Charleston for months, the mill's destruction a wound in the city's heart. Vance Textile was more than a factory. It was a symbol of the Old South, owned by the powerful Vance family, whose patriarch, Edward Vance, sat in the front row, his face etched with righteous anger. The prosecution painted Amara as a vengeful activist, her motives tied to protests against the mill's labor practices, which had exploited black workers for decades. Amara's silence in court baffled everyone, even Holt, who'd begged her to testify. "They'll crucify you if you don't speak," he'd said. But Amara only shook her head, her eyes distant. She thought of her mother, Amara Ellis, who died 2 years ago, a seamstress at the mill whose lungs had been ravaged by its toxic conditions. Nia's memory was Amara's anchor, but also her secret, a truth she couldn't share without risking everything. Khalil, sitting with their Aunt Patrice, clutched a worn photo of Nia, his knuckles pale. He'd seen Amara's pain deepen since their mother's death, her quiet activism turning fierce. "You didn't do it, right?" he'd whispered last night. Amara's faint smile hadn't answered, but her hug had promised she'd protect him. Now, as Judge Marshall cleared her throat, the courtroom braced for the inevitable. Judge Marshall's reputation was ironclad, her rulings guided by law over emotion. She'd presided over high-profile cases, but Amara's trial unsettled her. The young woman's silence felt like a challenge, her steady gaze a plea for something the judge couldn't name. "Ms. Ellis," she said, her voice resonant, "you've chosen not to speak. But the evidence speaks for you. I'm ready to deliver your sentence." The gallery held its breath, reporters poised with pens, cameras rolling discreetly. Edward Vance leaned forward, his lips curling into a satisfied smirk. Holt slumped, defeated, while Khalil's eyes welled with tears. Amara sat taller, her hands steady, as if bracing for a blow she'd long expected. Then, a commotion at the back of the courtroom shattered the silence. The heavy oak doors swung open, and a breathless courier, a young woman in a blue uniform, rushed in, clutching an envelope. "Your Honor," she gasped, "this just arrived. For the court." Judge Marshall's gavel froze mid-air, her eyes narrowing. "What is this?" she demanded as the room buzzed with confusion. The courier approached the bench, her hands trembling as she handed over the envelope. It was yellowed, sealed with wax, and addressed in elegant script. "To be opened in the trial of Amara Ellis, Judge Marshall turned it over, her fingers tracing the seal. A crescent moon, unfamiliar, yet haunting. "Who sent this?" she asked, but the courier shook her head. "It was dropped off anonymously at our office this morning, marked urgent." Amara's heart pounded, her eyes locked on the envelope. She hadn't seen her mother's handwriting in years, but the moon seal stirred a memory, Nia's old journal, hidden in their attic. Khalil leaned forward, whispering to Patrice. "What's going on?" Edward Vance stood, his voice sharp. "This is a stunt, Your Honor. Proceed with the sentence." The judge's glare silenced him. "I'll decide what's relevant, Mr. Vance." Judge Marshall broke the seal, pulling out a single sheet of paper, its edges frayed. Her eyes scanned the words, and her face paled, her breath catching. The courtroom watched, suspended in a moment that felt sacred, as if time itself had paused. "Ms. Ellis," the judge said, her voice wavering, "this changes everything." Judge Marshall read aloud, her voice steadying as Nia's words filled the room. "My name is Nia Ellis, and I write this knowing I may not live to see justice. If my daughter Amara stands accused, know she is innocent. The Vance textile mill hides a crime that has killed many, including me." Gasps echoed, reporters scribbling frantically. Amara's eyes widened, tears falling silently. She'd never known her mother had left such a letter. Nia's letter continued. "The mill's chemicals poisoned our air, our bodies. I found proof, documents in Edward Vance's office, detailing illegal waste dumping. I planned to expose him, but they silenced me. If Amara's in court, it's because she's carrying my fight. Read her truth, not their lies." The room erupted, Edward Vance shouting, "This is slander!" The judge's gavel slammed, restoring order. Amara's hands shook, her silence breaking as a sob escaped. Holt stared, stunned, while Khalil grinned through tears. "Mama knew." The letter was a bombshell, but its true power lay in what it demanded, a truth Amara had buried to protect Khalil. Judge Marshall looked at her, her voice soft. "Ms. Ellis, do you have something to add?" Amara stood, her voice trembling but clear. "I didn't burn the mill, Your Honor, but I was there that night, looking for my mom's evidence. She told me about Vance's crimes before she died. I found the documents, but someone attacked me. I dropped the pipe I was holding, and I ran." The courtroom gasped, her words a lifeline after months of silence. Khalil's eyes widened, his voice a whisper. "You were protecting me?" Amara nodded, her gaze meeting his. "The attacker threatened you, Khalil. I couldn't risk them hurting you." Edward Vance's lawyer, a slick man named Carter, stood objecting. "This is hearsay, Your Honor. She's fabricating a story." But the judge's eyes were on Amara, seeing her truth. "I kept quiet to keep my brother safe," Amara said, her voice rising. "But Mama's letter means I can't hide anymore. The Vances poisoned our town, and they're framing me to cover it up." The crowd murmured, some nodding, others skeptical. Judge Marshall leaned forward, her voice grave. "These are serious claims, Miss Ellis. We'll recess to investigate." The courtroom emptied into a frenzy, reporters swarming outside, their cameras capturing the crowd's chants. "Justice for Amara!" Khalil hugged Amara tightly, his voice breaking. "You're so brave, sis." Holt, reinvigorated, pulled Amara aside. "We need those documents, V. Where are they?" She hesitated, whispering, "Hidden in Mama's safe house. I'll show you." Outside, Edward Vance met with Carter, his face livid. "Find that evidence before she does," he hissed. Carter nodded, making a call. "Get to the Ellis house. Now." Unbeknownst to them, Patrice, a retired nurse with a sharp mind, overheard, texting Amara, "Watch your back. Vance is moving." Amara felt the weight of her mother's legacy, her resolve hardening. Nia had fought alone, but Amara had Khalil, Holt, and a community waking up. As police were dispatched to search the mill's records, Amara knew the real battle was just beginning. She slipped Khalil a note. "Stay with Aunt Patrice, I've got to finish this." That night, Amara and Holt drove to a rundown cabin on Charleston's outskirts, Nia's secret safe house. The air was thick with humidity, crickets chirping as they approached the sagging porch. Amara's heart raced. She hadn't been here since Nia's death. The place, a shrine to her mother's fight. "It's in the floorboards," she said, prying up a loose plank. Inside, they found a metal box containing Nia's journal and a flash drive labeled Vance. The journal detailed her discovery of toxic dumping, her illness, and threats from Vance's men. The drive held scanned documents, permits, emails, and chemical reports proving the mill's crimes. Holt's eyes widened. "This is a gold mine, Amara. We've got them." As they left, headlights flashed in the distance. Amara froze, spotting a black SUV speeding toward them. "They're here!" she shouted, grabbing the box. Holt floored the gas, the SUV in pursuit, its tires screeching. Amara clutched the evidence, her mother's voice echoing, "Keep fighting, baby!" This wasn't just a trial, it was a race for truth. The chase tore through Charleston's back roads, dust clouding the night as Holt swerved to evade the SUV. Amara's heart pounded, her hands gripping the box. "Who are they?" she gasped. Holt's voice was grim. "Vance's muscle. They'll do anything to stop us." The SUV rammed their bumper, jolting them forward. Amara's phone buzzed. Khalil, frantic. "Patrice says men are at our house." Amara's blood ran cold. "Tell her to hide," she said, texting Patrice a safe address. She turned to Holt. "We can't lead them to the court. Head to the river." Holt nodded, veering toward the Ashley River, its dark waters glinting under moonlight. At a narrow bridge, Holt slammed the brakes, spinning the car to block the road. Amara jumped out, clutching the box, and ran toward the riverbank, the SUV's men close behind. She hid the box under a pile of driftwood, her breath ragged. As footsteps neared, she whispered, "Mama, help me." A plan formed. She'd draw them away, trusting Holt to retrieve the evidence. Amara sprinted through the reeds, her sneakers sinking in mud, the men's shouts echoing behind her. She doubled back, luring them deeper into the marsh. Her knowledge of the terrain her only advantage. One man, a burly figure with a scar, lunged, but Amara dodged, her agility honed from years of track. Holt, meanwhile, grabbed the box, racing back to the car. He called the police, his voice urgent. "We're at Ashley River under attack." Sirens wailed in the distance, a lifeline. Amara tripped, her ankle twisting, but she scrambled up, her mother's words fueling her. "You're stronger than their lies." The scarred man caught her arm, his grip bruising. "Where's the evidence?" he snarled. Amara spat. "You'll never find it." Headlights flashed, police cruisers surrounding them. The man released her, fleeing, but officers tackled him. Amara collapsed, tears mixing with mud, her mother's fight alive in her veins. The next morning, the courtroom was electric, news of the chase spreading like wildfire. Amara limped to the defendant's table, her ankle bandaged, her resolve unbroken. Khalil hugged her fiercely, whispering, "You're a hero, sis." Holt presented the box, its contents now with the prosecution, who'd verified the documents. Judge Marshall took the bench, her face grave. New evidence has surfaced, implicating Vance Textile in environmental crimes and witness intimidation. Ms. Ellis, your mother's letter and these documents demand a reevaluation. Edward Vance's face drained of color, his lawyer stammering objections, but the judge's gavel silenced them. Amara stood, her voice steady. I didn't burn the mill, Your Honor, but I'd have done anything to expose Vance's crimes. My mama died for this truth. The gallery murmured, some clapping, others skeptical. The judge's eyes softened, a rare crack in her armor. We'll hear this evidence fully. Court is adjourned for review. In a closed session, prosecutors presented Nia's journal and the flash drive, detailing Vance's illegal dumping of carcinogenic chemicals. Emails showed Edward ordering cover-ups, even bribing inspectors. This isn't just about the fire, the lead prosecutor said. It's about decades of harm to Charleston's black community. Amara watched, her heart heavy but hopeful. Khalil sat beside her, his hand in hers. "Mama's fighting through you," he said. She nodded, tears falling. Holt, now a fierce advocate, whispered, "We're winning, Amara." But Edward's glare promised retaliation, his wealth a shadow over justice. Outside, reporters swarmed. Amara Ellis trending on X with millions sharing Nia's letter. "Her mother's voice from the grave," one post read, sparking debates on corporate greed and racial justice. Amara's story was no longer local. It was a global call to action. That evening, Charleston's black community rallied outside the courthouse, holding candles and signs. "Nia's truth lives," Patrice spoke, her voice resonant. "Amara's carrying her mother's torch. We won't let it go out." Khalil joined, his voice cracking. "My sister's innocent." The crowd cheered, their unity a shield. Amara watched from a balcony, her heart swelling. She hadn't expected this support, but it fueled her. Holt brought news. "The EPA's investigating Vance Textile. Your mother's evidence is seismic." Amara nodded, but Edward's men were still at large, and she feared for Khalil's safety. Social media buzzed with number Nia Ellis, artists creating murals of Nia and Amara, their faces defiant. A viral video of the rally with Khalil's speech drew tears worldwide. Amara's fight was a movement, but the Vance's power loomed, a storm yet to break. At dawn, Amara found her apartment ransacked, a note on her mirror. "Drop it, or Khalil pays." Her blood ran cold, but she called Holt, who alerted police. "They're desperate," he said, arranging protection for Khalil and Patrice. Amara clutched Nia's journal, its pages her armor. Khalil, now at a safe house, drew a picture of Amara as a superhero, slipping it under her door. "You're saving us," he wrote. Amara cried, her resolve hardening. She texted Holt, "We end this in court." The Vances had underestimated her, but Nia's daughter wouldn't break. Police traced the note to a Vance associate, arrested in a raid. Edward's empire was crumbling, but his lawyer vowed to fight. "We'll bury you in appeals," Carter sneered. Amara met his gaze, her voice low. "Try it. My mama's watching." The trial resumed, prosecutors calling experts to testify on Vance's chemicals, linking them to Nia's illness and others. A retired mill worker, Ms. Jenkins, took the stand, her voice trembling. "Nia warned us, but Vance threatened our jobs. Amara's telling her truth." The gallery clapped, moved. Edward's lawyer cross-examined, painting Nia as unstable, but Ms. Jenkins held firm. "Nia was our voice," she said, glaring at Edward. Amara watched, pride swelling. Her mother's fight was alive, carried by those she'd inspired. Khalil whispered, "We're winning, right?" Amara nodded, but fear lingered. Judge Marshall listened, her face unreadable. "This evidence shifts the case's context," she said, ordering a review of Amara's charges. Edward stood, his voice desperate. "This is a conspiracy." The judge's gavel cracked. "Sit down, Mr. Vance, or I'll hold you in contempt." As the prosecution rested, Amara's childhood friend, Lena, a mill security guard, took the stand, her voice shaky. "I saw the fire start," she said, eyes on Amara. "It wasn't her. It was Vance's foreman trying to destroy evidence after Amara's visit." The courtroom gasped, Edward's face ashen. Lena produced a hidden camera clip showing the foreman dousing the mill with gasoline. I kept quiet 'cause they threatened my family, she said, tears falling. But Amara's courage made me speak. Holt grinned, whispering, "This is it, Amara." The clip played, undeniable proof of Vance's cover-up. Edward's lawyer objected, but Judge Marshall overruled. "This changes everything," she said, ordering the foreman's arrest. Amara met Lena's eyes, mouthing, "Thank you." The truth was unraveling, but Edward's glare promised vengeance. The debate was far from over. Judge Marshall called Amara to the stand, her voice gentle. "Miss Ellis, you've been silent for months. Is there anything else?" Amara stood, her voice resonant. "I fought for my mama's truth, not revenge. Vance killed her, and I won't let him kill our story." The gallery cheered, Khalil clapping fiercely. The judge deliberated, the courtroom tense. Edward whispered to Carter, his face desperate. Holt squeezed Amara's hand, whispering, "You've got this." When Marshall returned, her voice was clear. "Amara Ellis, all charges are dropped. You're free." The room erupted, Amara collapsing into Khalil's arms. Edward stood, shouting, "This isn't justice." The judge's gavel slammed. "You'll face your own trial. Mr. Vance bailiffs led him away. His empire in ruins." Amara felt Nia's presence, her letter a beacon that had saved her daughter and exposed a city's wounds. Outside, reporters swarmed, cameras capturing Amara's tearful hug with Khalil and Patrice. "My mama's letter saved me," she said, her voice breaking. Nia Saved Amara trended, with millions sharing her story, sparking debates on corporate accountability and racial justice. "This is bigger than Charleston," one post read. Holt took Amara to celebrate at a diner, Khalil devouring fries. "You're a legend, V," Holt said, grinning. Amara shook her head. "Mama's the legend. I'm just her voice." Lena joined them, her smile shy. "We did it together," she said, their bond a new strength. Back home, Amara found Nia's journal open to a page she'd missed. "Amara, you're my fire. Burn bright," she cried, vowing to honor her mother's fight. But Edward's allies were still out there, and Amara knew her battle wasn't done. Days later, Amara's safe house was vandalized, windows smashed, a note reading, "You'll pay." Her heart raced, but she called Holt, who alerted police. "Vance's men," he said grimly. Khalil, now under protection, drew Amara a picture of them as warriors. "We're tougher," he said, grinning. Patrice organized a community watch, neighbors guarding Amara's home. "You're our daughter now," she said, hugging her. Amara nodded, moved. The EPA shut down Vance Textile, citing Nia's evidence, but Edward's wealth fueled his fight from jail, hiring lawyers to bury the case. Social media rallied, number Protect Amara trending with thousands pledging support. A viral video of Khalil reading Nia's letter drew tears. Its caption, "Her voice lives." Amara's story was a fire, burning through lies, but the Vance's shadow loomed. Charleston rallied. A march filling downtown with signs. "Nia's legacy lives," Amara spoke, her voice powerful. "My mama fought alone, but we're together. Let's end corporate greed." The crowd roared, Khalil by her side, holding her hand. Lena filmed, her footage viral. Holt uncovered more Vance allies, exposing a city councilor who'd taken bribes. "You're dismantling a machine," he told Amara, proud. She nodded, but fear for Khalil lingered. "Keep him safe," she told Patrice, who promised, "He's our son." The debate raged online, with hashtag #VanceExposed sparking global calls for environmental justice. Amara's story inspired lawsuits against polluters, her mother's letter quoted in Congress. "One woman's truth," a senator said, "can change the world." Amara and Khalil moved to a new home, funded by community donations. She enrolled in college, studying environmental law, her mother's journal her guide. Khalil joined an art program, his drawings of Nia's fight displayed locally. "You're my hero," he told Amara, grinning. Holt started a firm representing mill victims, with Amara as an advisor. "You're Nia's legacy," he said, smiling. Lena trained as a whistleblower advocate, her courage inspired by Amara. "We're a team," she said, their bond unbreakable. A mural of Nia and Amara rose in Charleston, captioned, "Truth burns bright." Amara touched it, tears falling. "We did it, Mama," she whispered. Her story was a movement, but Edward's trial loomed, a final test. Edward's trial began, Amara testifying about Nia's evidence. "He killed my mother with his greed," she said, her voice unwavering. The jury listened, moved, as prosecutors presented the flash drive, proving Vance's crimes. Edward's lawyer floundered, his lies exposed. Khalil attended, sketching the courtroom, his art a silent protest. Patrice clapped, proud. "You're Nia's fire, both of you!" Holt coached Amara, his strategy sharp. "You're winning hearts," he said. Edward glared, but Amara met his eyes, unafraid. The verdict came swiftly. Guilty on all counts. Edward collapsed, his empire gone. Vance Falls trended, with Amara's testimony quoted worldwide. "Her mother's letter won," one post read, sparking debates on justice and legacy. Amara spoke at a UN climate summit, holding Nia's journal. "My mother's truth stopped a polluter. Yours can too," she said, her voice resonant. Delegates stood, number Nia Ellis trending globally. Khalil's art was displayed, a symbol of hope. Holt joined her, his firm now international. "You're a force, Amara," he said, grinning. Lena advocated for whistleblowers, her story linked to Amara's. "We're changing laws," she said, proud. Amara nodded, her mother's fire in her veins. Back home, Charleston honored Nia with a park, Amara planting its first tree. "This is for you, Mama," she said, Khalil by her side. Their story was a beacon, inspiring millions to fight for truth. Amara's story sparked global lawsuits against polluters, with Nia's letter cited in courts. "She's our hero," a Brazilian activist said, sharing number Nia inspired. Amara mentored youth, her college campus a hub for justice. "Your truth matters," she told them. Charleston's mill site became a community center, with Khalil's murals decorating its walls. Patrice ran it, her voice proud. "Nia's dream lives here." Amara visited, seeing kids thrive, her fight their foundation. Online, Number My Truth campaigns grew, people sharing stories of standing up. Amara read them, moved. "Mama's letter started this," she told Khalil. He grinned. "And you finished it." Their bond was eternal, a fire that wouldn't fade. At 25, Amara graduated, her speech quoting Nia. "Truth is our fire." The crowd stood, Khalil filming, his art now in galleries. Holt hugged her. "You're unstoppable, V." She smiled, dedicating her degree to every silenced voice. Patrice retired, passing the center to Amara. "It's yours now," she said, proud. Khalil joined, teaching art, his voice strong. "We're Mama's legacy," he told Amara, grinning. Lena advocated globally, their team a force. Amara published Nia's journal, a bestseller titled Burn Bright. Fans shared quotes, number Nia journal trending. "Her mother's words live," one wrote. Amara's fight was a movement, her legacy a debate for the ages. Amara ran for city council, her platform justice and equity. At a rally, she held Nia's journal, reading, "We rise through truth." Voters cheered, hashtag Amara for Change trending. Khalil painted her campaign signs, his art a symbol. Holt's firm won settlements for mill victims, funding scholarships. "You started this," he told Amara. She shook her head. "Mama did." Lena's laws protected whistleblowers, her voice echoing Amara's. "We're her fire," she said. A statue of Nia rose in Amara Ellis Park, Amara touching its moon seal. "You're with us," she whispered. Her story was a fire, burning through history, sparking debates on truth and courage. Amara's council win led to environmental reforms, Charleston a model city. She spoke globally, Nia's journal in hand. "One letter changed everything," she said, inspiring laws. Khalil's art adorned UN halls, number Nia art trending. Holt mentored lawyers, his legacy tied to Amara's. "You're the spark," he said, grinning. Lena's advocacy saved lives, her bond with Amara eternal. "We're sisters," she said, hugging her. Amara nodded, her heart full. Kids visited Nia's statue, sharing their truths. "You're like us," one said. Amara knelt. "Exactly. Keep burning." Their stories were her fuel, a debate that wouldn't end. At 30, Amara opened Nia's Voice, a global foundation for justice. Its first event honored Nia, with Khalil's mural unveiled. "Mama's here," he said, tears falling. Amara spoke, her voice powerful. "Her letter saved me, and it can save you." Charleston Center thrived, Patrice a mentor. "You're Nia's dream," she told Amara. Holt's firm funded it, his pride evident. Lena's laws protected its work, their team a legacy. Nia Voice trended, stories flooding. Amara visited the mill site, now a garden. "We did it, Mama," she said, planting a sunflower. Her fight was a fire, its light eternal, a debate carved in history. Amara ran for Congress, her platform Nia's truth. At a rally, she read her mother's letter, "Burn bright my fire." The crowd roared, Nia for Congress trending. Khalil painted her portrait, his art a movement. "You're unstoppable," he said, grinning. Holt campaigned, his voice proud. "She's our future," Lena advocated, her laws backing Amara. "We're her shield," she said. Patrice rallied voters, her love of force. Amara's story was a beacon, its debate reshaping the world. Kids wrote to Amara, their truths echoing Nia's. "You're our hero," one said. She replied, "You're mine." Their letters were her fire, a legacy that wouldn't dim. Amara closed her campaign with Nia's journal, her voice thunder. "1 minute before my sentence, my dead mother's letter arrived. It saved me, exposed lies, and sparked a fight. Your truth can too." The crowd roared. "You burn bright," trending, stories flooding. A girl approached, holding a letter. "My truth's here," she said. Amara knelt, reading, tears falling. "Speak it, like my mama did." The girl nodded, her voice rising. Amara's story lived in her, a fire eternal. As she left the stage, the crowd chanted, "Nia, Amara," she urged. "What's your truth? Share it below. Let's burn bright together." Their stories poured. Amara's fight a debate for history, proving one letter could change the world forever.